Okay, so I'm shooting this video for you. So I wanted to send, I wanted you to see the process of what it really takes when you're dealing with these old houses. I don't think you fully understand um, the depth of knowledge that you really need to be able to make decisions on this stuff. I hear you when I say something and you rebuttal me, and you say, "Well, I want to do this and this and this and this." What I need you to understand is that you don't have the skills to do that. You don't have the skills to tell someone that has done this what they should do, right? And I'm not to be rude. I need to cut you. I need to tell you straight, um, as I would tell anybody that I care about their process and them not burning their money. Um, because sometimes we all have to be correct. Even me, like I could be wrong. I could be wrong on a lot of things. And then when I take over a project or when I decide to do something, which I don't take on projects, I do my own projects. That just to be clear, I took Miss Marla's project on because the love that I have for Miss Pipkins, which is like my mother, right? And so that's why I took it on, and I said, hey, you know what? Let me just help you out, period. And we work from there. We work from a budget. That's how I like to work, from a budget. I'm not a bid person. You can bid out anything and you'll lose your ass on it. And I don't know if you curse or not, but I do it a little bit. Um, but what I want you to understand is that this stuff is not easy, and being cheap, which I know that you are, and I'm not being rude. I know that you are. You're gonna approach it from, well, it didn't cost me this much to do this, and it cost you because you didn't know what you were doing. And now that you still don't know what you're doing, you're going to still be dependent upon what knowledge you have. And that means you still don't know what you're doing. And so it's going to cost you even more. So you're repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. I see it all the time. We do it all the time. And it happens in our community a lot. And I'm not saying men and women, we all do it. We bite off more than we can chew, because and I don't know how your home, your structure is with your family and all that kind of stuff, but um, we as black people, black women in general, you guys have to do a little bit more of everything. Sometimes you got to be the contractor, you got to be the electrician, you got to be the lawyer, you got to be the mom, you got to be the cook, you got to be all these different things, and maybe you're great at some of them, but some things you're not great at. And you got to relinquish control on some of that stuff so that you get things done correctly, efficiently. And so, what things can you control in the project? I think, and I don't think this is a project for me, to be honest with you, because I'm listening to you. I can look at the wood, I can look at construction, I can figure it out, right? But I'm listening to you, and that's why I'm saying I don't think this is a project for me, um, because it's going to take a lot of this, a lot of communication, a lot of talking to get through it, and that's fine, but um, it has to be done the right way. And so, if I were looking at this, I would say, hey, you know what, Miss Davis, you need to just be a person that has the finances to do it, and and if you don't have the finances to do it and do it the right way, then don't do it, because you're just going to burn money. You're going to burn money. That's all that's going to happen. I learned this the hard way. Everything that I have, everything that I bought it with my money. And man, there's some deep seated dark nights in learning to understand this stuff. Um, and people want to, kind of cut corners and stuff. Man, you, you got to have a skill set to cut corners, and in doing that, it's still not the right way to do it. Like, it takes skill to save money in the ways that some people think. Oh, well, Hector said he can do it for this much, and John and Juan said they can do it for this much, and that and the other. Well, are they gonna? If there's something goes wrong, can they come back and fix it? There's another thing, because a lot of times people are just they just want need money to pay for their whatever, the rent, or pay for this or whatever. They're not they're not looking at it from a professional standpoint. They don't have anybody to come back behind them and say, all right, well, like, you can't go um, and talk to their family and see, you know, what went wrong. Like in this situation, you can go talk to Miss Marlin. She gonna call Miss Pipkins, and Miss Pipkins is gonna call my mom, and be like, "Hey, what did Chris do wrong? What did he do right? and what kind of person is he? I'm gonna shoot you straight." And that's just basically what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shoot you as straight as I possibly can. And maybe you listen, maybe you don't. But yeah, I'm reading you. I have to read you. I'm reading you, and I'm realizing um, that you're probably just focused on money too much to do a project like you're trying to do. And that kind of focus, it ruins a project, it ruins lives, it causes lawsuits, it causes so many issues. You can't approach it from that perspective. You got to change your mindset. You got to say, all right, what does this cost me? All right, it's gonna cost me 80, 90, $100,000 to get it done and get it done correctly. Because when you think about, I want you to do this, I want you to run through the process. All right, going in, having a leveling company come in and check and see what if it's actually level. All right, so seeing if it's actually level, then also they need to get under there and see where the rot is, if there's rot, if the floors need to be pulled up and new floor joists need to be put in. Right, need to understand that. And once you level it and pull the floor joist and realize it's rot, because there's going to be rot on the floor. There's going to be rot in the floor joist, I'm sure, if they haven't already fixed it. But you sometimes you still don't know. Even after people level houses, there's still rot under the house. In some situations, if they don't do it correctly, because you got what happens is what you saw. You got water coming in from the roof, so the water that touches the decking's bad. All right, water that touches the roof rafters. The roof rafters become bad, and then the sheetrock under those roof rafters become bad, and then the floors become bad if they're wooden. I mean, they are wooden, and then the joists that hold the floors up are bad. So that's why my approach is you got to strip all this stuff off. I mean, you had guys that are probably just working for day rates or whatever, with no, nothing that you can't. You probably could if you wanted to sue them, you couldn't even get your money back. So yeah, it's yeah, it's whew, that's that's a rough one, and to have done this more than once and to see what the product looks like, I don't know, I don't know what you were hoping to accomplish with how you approached it, like because putting all the mixed windows, like I don't know if you're creating value because you're worried about money. Were you trying to create value by putting all the different windows at different heights and different sizes and different? I don't know what that is. And I got to be completely honest with you. Like that looked horrible. I don't know. I don't know how y'all made that decision to do that. It looked absolutely horrible, and you can't blame the guy that did the work. You got to blame you. You can't blame him because you made the decision to choose him. You made the decision to allow them to put things where they needed to be put it, right? But the thing is, and this is where we come. You weren't qualified to make those decisions. You weren't qualified to determine, this guy was the correct guy to do the job. You weren't qualified to determine the job that he did was the correct way of doing it. And so now we look at somebody else coming in, and here we go again. Like, hey, well, I don't want to do it this way, well, what if I just put a 2x4 next to it, and what if I just did this, and what if I no, no, you need to stop. That is not what the decision you should be making. Like you make the decisions on money. That's what you need to do. Make the decisions on money. And if you can't make the decision on money, then get out of that game of like trying to fund a project like this. It's not for you to do. It is not your skill set. Now you can gain it, but you got to spend some years doing it. It's gonna cost you to do it. And if I mean maybe where I sit in this process for you is just I don't know maybe just advising or something like that. I mean I would charge a fee to do that because my time is my time, but I'm I'm on COVID, so I have time. And right now to shoot these long videos, I expected this video to be only a couple minutes, but I'm just talking this, and I want you to see my face, and I want you to see my facial expressions as I, go through what I think. Yeah, but the project can be done. You just have to think money first, and is it a money pit? Yeah, it probably is. You gotta evaluate what it's gonna cost you to do it. It probably be save. You may save money by tearing it down, and you say, "Hey, well, I got this emotional attachment to it. So what?" And that's not being rude, and it sounds rude, but I have emotional attachments to things too. But you have to be a realist and really evaluate. Well, what is my emotional attachment costing me? Yeah, it's gonna cost you something. I had a lady that I bought a house from. She had an emotional attachment to her house, but not to her house. She had an emotional attachment to her cats. Her cats basically overran the house. The house smelled like pure nastiness, but she loves her cats and her dogs so much that she let the cats and dogs live in the house, and she really received. I mean, she couldn't get anything for as far as value for the house because she let the cats pee on every ounce of wood, tear up everything. The house, smells like nothing. That's all because she had an emotional attachment to cats. And it was, but now we're mixing emotions and financial, and that doesn't, you can't mix emotions and financial. Either you have an emotional attachment and you love it and you want to see the house be its best, and that's at whatever cost, or you, or you're just not being realistic. So, um, sorry about this long monologue or of a video, but yeah, I want to be helpful, but I think where my help is right now is having this conversation, even though it's not a conversation, but having telling you these things. Um, you, there's a lot that you need to do with this thing, with this project, and I can just look from the pictures, which you have to walk a property, but I can see the issues. They're clear. It's clear, and I can only imagine how bad it really, really is on the inside. So maybe it's not anything you want to hear, but I rather have a person come and tell me what I don't want to hear than to tell me what I do want to hear. When you know what I mean? Because telling me what I do want to hear, it is isn't honest. It's not being honest. So yeah, man. This probably isn't a project for me again. But I wish you the best in your search. If me saying 87, 85,000 is not in your wheelhouse, then yeah, this isn't anything I want to come any close to touching, because I would be liable for so way too much. Anybody that thinks liability is gonna say that. Anybody that's just thinking, all right, well, I just need to pay my electricity, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. They'll take whatever you tell. They'll take whatever you give them, uh, and that's what ends up. That's why it ends up where it is. So so yeah, man. What else could I recommend? You also could look into, just like I said, demolishing and building brand new, and building it high. But you said it doesn't flood over there, but that's you could look at that too, and that can be a cost savings because it may cost you $8,000, $8,000 to demo that whole thing. And or you can just build a house, you know, um, on the side somewhere and leave that up there. If that's an emotional attachment, just leave it there. Don't spend the 8 grand tearing it down. Don't spend any more money building it up. Just leave it there and build a new house on the side of it. If that, I mean, if you just really want to build and have a just have a completely new construction. That, I mean, that's the most cost effective thing I could possibly see being done. But factor in, these are things I want you to factor in. What does a water well cost you? You need to think about that. If you Google it, then cool. But what does a water well cost you? Plumbing to the water well, from the water well to the house, plumbing the house. All right. So that's one. All the plumbing needs. Water well, drilling down if you need to drill down. I'm not a water well person, so I would sub that out. But you need to figure out what that costs you to do it the right way. The water softener, all that. All right. And then you go from there. You look at your foundation again, plumbing. No, sorry, foundation, foundation and frame. You can't put a roof on a bad frame. You just can't. That is the craziest idea in the world. When you said you were doing that, I, I didn't say much, but I'm gonna tell you this: that's a terrible decision. I want to save the house. I want to save it from any further damage. Cool, just tarp it up. That's the cheapest approach. Okay, so we got frame, and then you're gonna go to roof, and then from the roof you're gonna go to siding, and then from siding you can put your gutters up or whatever, so you can deflect all the rain. You can do siding and roof all at the same time, basically. And windows, rip all those windows out. Just rip them out. Rip all those out. That is, they, that looks, that won't pass nobody's nothing. If you ever have to sell it, nobody's gonna want it. You didn't burn all your money if nobody wants it. So, and then, then you work on the inside, and that means, all your electrical, and then your walls, and then your bathrooms, tile, all that, and running through your punch line, your colors, what you want your color, the outside, inside, all that stuff to be. Your kitchen, the selection of your kitchen. I wouldn't put a tile countertop on the kitchen. It's way easier to just get the granite and install granite or quartz. We're talking about maybe $1,000 more or so, or whatever, to make it look nice. Versus, I don't know how much granite or whatever you want, but I wouldn't even go with granite. I would go with quartz countertops in the bathrooms, in the kitchen, and whatever else you needed to put in there. And then figuring out the spacing, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathroom, and that space, it may be kind of hard to do, put together. So, but that's all in design. You may need an engineer too. So yeah, I got lost in all this thought. Oh yeah, what other costs you need to evaluate? Flooring, type of flooring you're gonna have. You're probably gonna want a vinyl plank, something that can get wet and still be ready. But for your flooring to be level, your floors have to be level. Like your joists have to be extremely level. Uh, I mean, if you don't mind some deflection or some, ride changes in, elevation in the floor, sometimes in some situations, then you'll be okay. But if you want it done right, um, you want to make sure your joists and the level of the house is correct, especially with all these additions. When you have all the additions, and you should have more problems that you're going to be running into, um, and adjustments that you're going to have to make. Um, Doors. I saw that there's just some random door up there. Look like an interior door closing off some areas. And yeah. So, all right. 21 minutes in.